Not all origin stories are about, grand battles or epic quests. Sometimes they're born in these really quiet, desperate moments, completely hidden from the rest of the world. And today, we're going to dive into one of the most unsettling founding myths you'll find anywhere in ancient literature. So, what is this story? Well, we are talking about the biblical account of how two of ancient Israel's biggest rivals, the Moabites and the Ammonites, actually came to be. And let me tell you, it is a story you are not going to forget. All right, so our story doesn't start in some bustling city or a kingdom. No, it kicks off in a place of just absolute desolation and fear. Okay, let's set the scene here. Lot, you might remember him as Abraham's nephew. He and his two daughters have just barely escaped the total destruction of Sodom, but they're so terrified they don't even feel safe in the nearby town. So they flee into the mountains and end up living in a cave. I mean, can you imagine that kind of isolation? No neighbors, no society, just the three of them, maybe even believing they are the very last people on Earth. And this is where we get to the core of their crisis, straight from the older daughter's mouth. She says, "Our father is old, and there is no man around here to give us children." Now, this wasn't just about wanting a family. In their minds, this was about the survival of their entire family line, maybe even the entire human race. And that last part of the quote, "as is the custom all over the earth," that really suggests they think the world they knew is completely gone. So, faced with what they see as basically the end of the world, they don't just give up. Nope. They come up with a plan. A plan that, when you break it down, is, well, it's logical in its own way, but absolutely shocking in what it involves. The plan they hatch is disturbingly simple. Step 1, get their father drunk on wine. Step 2, sleep with him. And the whole point, the end goal, preserve the family line. It's this incredibly calculated, desperate act, and it's all driven by that ancient, powerful need to carry on your lineage, no matter the cost. And they don't wait around. The plan goes into motion right away, carried out with this methodical precision over 2 nights in a row. So on the very first night, the older daughter gets her father drunk and she sleeps with him. The next day, she tells her younger sister, "Okay, your turn." So on night 2, they do the exact same thing all over again. This tells you it wasn't some impulsive one-time thing. It was a deliberate 2-part strategy to make sure they achieved their goal. And here's a really crucial detail. The biblical text makes a point of telling us, not once, but twice, for both nights, that Lot was completely oblivious to what was happening. He had no idea. This isn't framed as something consensual at all. The story really emphasizes that this was an act of total deception, with the daughters in control and their father completely unaware. So this act of desperation, born in that lonely mountain cave, it doesn't just stay in the cave. Oh no. It has massive, long-term consequences that, according to this text, are going to shape the entire political landscape of the region for centuries to come. And from their point of view, the plan was a total success. Both daughters became pregnant. Their extreme gamble to save their family line had, in their minds, actually paid off. And from these 2 pregnancies, we get the founders of 2 entire nations. The older daughter has a son named Moab, and he's identified as the ancestor of the Moabites. The younger daughter also has a son, Ben-Ammi, who becomes the father of the Ammonites. Just like that, 2 nations are born from one family's shocking act of survival. So you have to ask, why is a story like this even in the Bible? Well, for the ancient Israelites, this was a pretty potent story about 2 of their most persistent enemies. It basically establishes the Moabites and Ammonites as relatives, sure, but it also frames their very origins as shameful and illegitimate. It was a way of justifying conflicts and, frankly, asserting their own moral and divine superiority. And that really just leaves us with this final thought. If we can, for just a second, strip away our modern shock and look at it, what does a story like this really tell us about the ancient mindset? How incredibly important was it to continue your family line? And just how far were people willing to go to make sure they survived when they truly believed all other options were just gone? It's a really stark reminder that the values of the past can feel so foreign, but the desperation, that can feel unsettlingly human.